they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bashir Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
Imagine waking up to find your favorite celebrities being accused of catching STDs at secret Hollywood parties hosted by Diddy himself. Orlando Brown and Ally Carter didn't just hint at it. They named names. We're talking Meek Mill, Busta Rhymes, even French Montana, who just got engaged to a Dubai princess. And if you think that's shocking, wait until you hear what Jaguar Wright and others revealed about Will Smith, The Game, and Usher. This isn't gossip. This is the kind of story that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the industry. Stay locked in, because what's coming next will blow your mind. I honestly never thought I'd witness the day Orlando Brown and Ally Carter would hit the internet and start airing out the scandalous behavior happening behind Hollywood's closed doors. But that day has come, and the revelations are wild. Both of them openly named celebrities who, according to them, ended up catching STDs at Diddy's infamous freak-offs. The list wasn't vague either. Names like Meek Mill, Busta Rhymes, and even French Montana were called out. And yes, that's the same French Montana who just announced his engagement to a Dubai princess. Before Ally and Orlando dropped these bombshells, others had already tried sounding the alarm. Jaguar Wright, for instance, spoke up long ago, but she was brushed off as crazy or accused of chasing clout. Yet, her claims line up disturbingly well. Jaguar alleged that Diddy and Will Smith weren't offering mentorship to Brisha Gray and Meek Mill as they had claimed. Instead, she said they were being manipulated into these wild parties. According to her, both Meek and Brisha were turned out in the process. She even described one shocking incident where the two young men were heard screaming as they bolted out of Will Smith's house. The story goes that they had been invited under friendly pretenses, only to allegedly be coerced into degrading acts at one of these so-called freak-offs.
I started kicking it with Diddy, right? I ran around with Diddy for 2 years, damn near. And this Diddy, we never went to the studio one time, but he was like, yo, I f with your demo, you know, bad boy, but hey, Playboy, hey, here go a watch, Playboy, here go a chain, Playboy. I'm like, yo, we ever gonna rap? Like, nah.
Y'all was doing it for 2 years.
Yo, but the jet leaves at 5. We going to Miami, Playboy. We going to, you know what I'm saying? We going to New York. We in ATL this weekend, Playboy. Pop out. And I was going everywhere with Diddy.
Before you got with Dre, wasn't Puffy interested in working with you also?
Yeah, Puff. I was running around with Puff for a minute, but we was just partying, man. Puff liked to party. So that's basically all we did. I think the few times I was running around with D-Mac and Puff, we just did a bunch of partying. We might have went to the studio once or twice, but I didn't get to record nothing. I was just, you know.
Okay, but I mean, Puffy was a huge deal back then.
Still a huge deal.
I mean, he's still a huge deal, but he's not doing music anymore,
right,
is what I'm saying. Back then, Bad Boy was on fire, and he's running around with you, and you know, Puffy's a busy guy.
I was running around with him.
Yeah. You were running around with him.
Right.
Was he talking about signing you, or what exactly happened?
Nah, Puff was, he was moving around. Like, he had the restaurant Justin's in Atlanta, so we was in and out of that. A lot of parties in Atlanta with him and V and, you know, Big Wolf and, you know, Fab and Jeezy was just, you know, I mean, Fab was already on, Jeezy was coming, you know, coming of age. But we just partied, man. And then when I told Puff.
But Meek's story allegedly didn't stop there. Not long after, a leaked audio surfaced online of a private conversation between him and Diddy, and let's just say, the recording was disturbing enough to raise eyebrows everywhere. And Meek wasn't the only one caught up in this whirlwind. The Game also found his name dragged into the chaos after an old interview of his resurfaced. In it, he admitted to spending a lot of time partying with Diddy. Supposedly, their original plan was to collaborate on an album, but instead of locking in at the studio, Diddy was flying him across the globe, showering him with lavish gifts, and pulling him into some pretty wild party scenes. One of their favorite spots? Atlanta. And if you know anything about Atlanta's underground scene, then you know why that raised even more questions. The city has long been seen as a hub for men who want to explore that side of nightlife without judgment. To many, it wasn't surprising at all, but the way the Game described it only fueled more speculation about what was really going on behind closed doors.
The FBI covered it up for how long? This case was back in 2000, early 2000, right? So let's talk about who's guilty here. The DOJ released a video that at first everybody said they couldn't find a video of Cassie Ventura being. They couldn't find it, it didn't exist. You saw one clip, and then you saw DOJ released another clip to the news. So the DOJ had that clip to begin with. So the people who are telling you that they don't have the Epstein file, they're full of shit. What other way do you want me to explain that? They're lying to you. The ones that are telling you, Pam Bondi, that she only had a little bit, because they told you the same thing, and now you're seeing it with the Sean Combs case. They told you they just had a little bit of a video, and then it got released. That's on the DOJ. They lied to you. They told you that nothing happened, that this man, Sean Combs, was just this rap mogul that everybody loved. No, he couldn't have hurt nobody. He couldn't have did anything. And then all this stuff came out. Well, he did that. But yeah, he couldn't have did anything else. And then something else came out. Okay, well, maybe he did that too. But he couldn't have did anything else. And then something else comes out. How many people did you hear say, I left the party early? I knew about children being there. I knew about him the hell out of females. I knew about the parties going on with multiple people, so it wasn't just Sean Combs. I knew about all of that, but I left early. So guilty. How many people did you hear say about Cassie Ventura that I knew that she was I knew that she was wrong. I knew what he was doing, but I'm just now speaking about it. Guilty.
Coward.
How many maids did it take to clean up a penthouse suite? Know that there was blood and glass everywhere, but they kept their mouth shut because they got paid. Guilty. So we're not talking, let's go back down to the bottom. The hotel manager that you guys never seen his face at first of this hotel, he heard the screaming. He knew what was going on. He knew that Sean Combs was in there. He knew that he had other girls with him. He knew what was going on. He had the footage. He talked to the security. That hotel manager is who took that footage from the security and said, okay, hand me some money or help me be quiet and I'm going to shut the hell up. You did not hear anything from that hotel manager until now. But they told you, that hotel manager, if you would have went back then, they would have told you, no, we don't know anything. Cover up. Guilty. The security that were on shift that night, that knew about this footage, that knew he dragged her down the hallway, that knew he kicked her in the back and all over the place. The hotel security that knew about that. They looked away. They got paid off. Guilty.
But baby, the drama didn't stop there. YK Osiris also found himself pulled into the whirlwind when old receipts resurfaced of him vacationing with Diddy in 2021, with no woman in sight. According to the rumors, Diddy flew YK out to Jamaica under the promise of helping his career, but what really went down is a whole different story. Word on the street is that YK was turned every which way but loose. Now, YK didn't exactly help the speculation. He reposted a shirtless picture of Diddy lounging in a pool, adding prayer hand emojis like a man paying tribute. Then he doubled down by posting his own naked photo from a massage table with the caption, "Listening to that Diddy, eating that good fruit in the beautiful weather." Tell me that doesn't sound like a sugar baby thanking his sugar luxury getaway. And here's the kicker. At that time, YK was broke. He had just been dropped from his label, was forced to sell his luxury cars, and was struggling just to cover rent. Trips like Jamaica were way out of his league financially, which made the rumors feel even louder. To pile on the mess, his baby mama hopped on Instagram, flat out claiming she caught him in bed with another man. Stop asking me what happened with my baby daddy. I caught him with a man. But the list of men allegedly tied to Diddy doesn't end with YK. Usher's name has been in the mix for years. Remember, he lived with Diddy at just 14 under that same mentorship program Brisha Gray was supposedly involved in. Whispers have long suggested that Usher was also touched inappropriately during that time. Things escalated when a leaked email, allegedly connected to Kim Porter's unfinished tell-all book, surfaced. The email claimed her manuscript exposed Diddy's secret relationships with men, the STDs passed around, and even alleged that Usher himself contracted one from Diddy. It also hinted at shocking incidents, including a confrontation involving Usher's own mother. And to make matters worse, in 2017, a woman came forward suing Usher, accusing him of passing along an STD. That 2017 lawsuit accused Usher of exposing a woman to herpes, claiming he'd been diagnosed as far back as 2009 but never disclosed it. And of course, the internet immediately ran with the narrative that Usher might have contracted it from Diddy years earlier, back when he was still under that so-called mentorship and allegedly being taken advantage of. But here's where the story takes another chilling turn. When Ally first began speaking out about the industry, her life allegedly took a dangerous hit. During the course of Diddy's trial, she was forced into hiding after claiming that people had been sent to intimidate her and silence her voice. Still, once the trial wrapped up, Ally came back online with even more to say. This time, she didn't just call out the industry players, she went after the system itself. She accused the DA of allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes to ensure Diddy walked away acquitted of most of his charges, suggesting that the entire trial was less about justice and more about protecting powerful interests.
Smash. You gave me the Uska Smuaf, the Smooth Smash. Diddy. Yeah, son. You know what I mean? You gave me the Uska Smuash. I love it, yo. I love it. You gave me the Uska Smuash.
And
that Uska Smuash. You know what I'm talking about, Diddy? Diddy. God.
And then there's Orlando Brown. He's been sounding the alarm for a long time too. But just like Jaguar Wright and Ally Carter, the public brushed him off. Instead of listening, people labeled him crazy and wrote off his claims as nothing more than wild ramblings, without ever stopping to consider that he might actually have been telling the truth all along.
Shipping and people, adults, the moms, the dads, right there on Target commercials, right there on Walmart commercials, and you're looking at the people that are missing, and they're smiling like they're happy, but they're going back to hell. I just think that, people just need to realize what they're looking at when they're watching the television. Everything is right in front of you. The revolution was televised, and don't nobody.
Orlando went even further, claiming that the real reason industry elites like Diddy keep getting away with this behavior is because the parents are often complicit. According to him, some parents knowingly turn a blind eye, allowing their kids to be exploited, all in exchange for a paycheck. But honestly, are we even surprised at this point? Ally and Orlando have been pulling back the curtain on the industry for a while now, yet instead of listening, most people just wrote them off as crazy. And as for the celebrities allegedly caught up in these scandals, if they really did end up infected, the harsh truth is they only have themselves to blame. The bigger concern now is whether they are quietly getting treatment, or recklessly putting others at risk. Of course, the internet has its own theories. One person commented, "This isn't the first time I've heard he has HIV. It's been years, but I remember people saying it back then, that he had it, and so did the people he was with." Another added, "I've heard for a long time he's HIV positive. Isn't it a crime to sleep with people without protection and not disclose that? If so, why hasn't anything been done?" So now the question is yours. What do you think about these allegations of Diddy allegedly passing around STDs? On the surface, it sounds like another chapter in the endless book of celebrity scandals, but when you peel back the layers, the implications are a lot darker and far more serious than people realize. Let's start with the first point. If even a fraction of these claims are true, we're not just talking about messy relationships or wild parties. We're talking about a pattern of exploitation, manipulation, and the reckless endangerment of people's lives. Passing around diseases, especially ones as serious as herpes or HIV, without disclosure is not only immoral, it's a crime in many places. And yet, because this involves powerful names, the conversation often gets brushed off as just rumors. But ask yourself this, why are so many different voices, from Jaguar Wright to Orlando Brown to Ally Carter, all telling versions of the same story? Critics will say, "Oh, these people are just clout chasing. They want attention." And sure, in the world of social media, clout is a currency. But clout doesn't protect you from lawsuits. It doesn't protect you from retaliation. It doesn't force you into hiding, like Ally claims she had to do during Diddy's trial. If it was just about fame, why risk everything? That's the part the public doesn't always think about. Sometimes people labeled as crazy are actually the ones telling uncomfortable truths. And then there's the question of danger. Do I believe Ally and Orlando's lives are truly at risk for speaking out? The short answer, yes, it's possible. The entertainment industry has a long history of silencing whistleblowers. From intimidation tactics to smear campaigns to outright threats, it wouldn't be the first time someone faced backlash for revealing too much. Ally herself has claimed that people were sent after her, and whether you believe that or not, the fear she expressed speaks volumes. Orlando, on the other hand, has been dismissed as unstable for years, which ironically might be what's kept him safe. People think he's too crazy to be taken seriously. But if what he's saying is true, then he's been risking his safety this entire time. Now let's talk about accountability. If celebrities are knowingly spreading STDs, shouldn't the law step in? One commenter put it plainly, isn't it a crime to sleep with people without protection and not disclose that you're HIV positive? Yes, it is. In fact, in many states, it's considered a felony. But here's the uncomfortable reality. The law doesn't always apply equally to the rich and powerful. Ordinary people face prison time for this, while celebrities often walk away untouched. That's why so many feel the justice system failed during Diddy's trial. If the DA really did play tricks behind the scenes, as Ally claims, then the trial wasn't about truth or justice, it was about protecting power. And here's where the conversation turns back to us, the audience. We live in a culture that worships celebrity, where scandals trend for a few days and then disappear as the next headline takes over. But what happens to the people left in the wreckage? What happens to those who were allegedly exploited, silenced, or infected? Are we so obsessed with gossip that we forget these are real lives being affected? The sad reality is that many people choose to laugh off or ignore stories like these because they sound too outrageous to be real. But history has shown us, time and time again, that the truth often sounds unbelievable at first. Remember when Jaguar Wright was dismissed? Now her claims are lining up with what others are saying. Remember when Orlando Brown was a running joke on the internet? Now parts of his story are being revisited with new seriousness. Dismissing people as crazy is easy. Listening to them is harder, because it forces us to confront truths we'd rather not face about the entertainment industry and the people we idolize. So again, the question comes back to you. Do you believe these allegations? Do you think Diddy, one of the most powerful figures in music and entertainment, has been shielded for years by money, influence, and silence? And do you think Ally and Orlando are really in danger, or are they just exaggerating for attention? There's no denying one thing. These stories aren't going away. Every few months, more receipts pop up, more interviews resurface, and more people step forward with claims that sound eerily similar. At some point, the sheer volume of voices becomes too loud to ignore. So maybe the better question is this: if the public starts listening, really listening, what happens next? Does the industry finally face a reckoning? Or do the power find new ways to cover it all up? The ball is in your court now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you buy into Ally and Orlando's claims? Do you think the truth will ever come to light? And most importantly, do you think justice is even possible when billion-dollar empires are at stake? And if you're ready for more messy revelations, you already know what to do. Click over to the next video, because this rabbit hole goes even deeper.